Hey, hello, hi, it's me, KJ Speaks, and welcome back to another episode of Seated with the Word, a Bible study conversation. Today, we're diving into Proverbs chapter 5, one of the richest books on wisdom, guidance, and spiritual confidence. If you've been in a season of trying to figure out what voice to follow, this chapter is going to meet you right where you are, and this chapter is specifically messaged for men, so let's dive right on in. Okay, so Proverbs 5, chapter 5 in my book translation, which is the NLT version. Again, read whatever version works best for you. I don't care. I love different translations. It helps you get a more well rounded understanding of the text. But let's get started. So, chapter 5 is titled The Immoral Woman. Oh, excuse me. It's titled Avoid Immoral Women. Okay, let me not misspeak. All right, so verse 1 reads, My son, pay attention to my wisdom. Listen carefully to my wise counsel. I just want to pause here. There are things you should notice throughout the text, especially if you're reading a particular book by a particular author. Again, this was written by Solomon. He usually starts off with my children, my child, and now he's saying my son, okay? Which is why I said this message is for the men, okay? So, men, pay attention to my wisdom, he says. Okay? This is going to be a brief study because there's literally only 23 verses in here. Anyways, verse 2 continues and reads, Then you will show discernment and your lips will express what you've learned. I love verse 1 and 2 all together because it's like, first of all, it lets you know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to my sons. Okay? And then verse 2 goes, after you listen to me and apply my wisdom, then you will show discernment. Only then. And your lips will express what you've learned. I think those are really great instructions to men because I have wondered so much being a woman who's been going to church since I was a wee bit little girl. Why there's always been so many more women in church than men. And I think this is a call to action. Like, when you know better, you do better. But more than when you know better, you do better. Your lips will express what you've learned. That means you're supposed to be going out and teaching. You're supposed to be sharing that wisdom. And specifically, he wants you to share this wisdom about avoiding immoral women. Okay? Pay attention. Verse 3 continues. For the lips of an immoral woman are as sweet as honey, and her mouth is smoother than oil. But in the end, she is as bitter as poison, as dangerous as a double-edged sword. Her feet go down to death, her steps lead straight to the grave, for she cares nothing about the path to life. She staggers down a crooked trail and doesn't realize it. Oh my God. Okay, immediately I'm like, if I'm a man and I'm reading this, I am spooked. I'm like an immoral woman. Like, I need to stay far away from her. Like, everything about her is a double-edged sword, death, grave, poison. But it starts off with giving you like a description of what an immoral woman is, literally. So, like, let's pay attention. So it says her lips are as sweet as honey, okay? Her mouth is smoother than oil, okay? This is implying that, like, again, it is said from Proverbs 1 to Proverbs 5, be careful what you are tuning your ears to. That's the underlying message here in verses 3 through 6. Because an immoral woman's lips are smoother than oil and sweet as honey. So what she's saying sound good, okay? And it's coming into your brain as smooth as oil. Like, it's just flowing into you. Child, cover your ears. Run away, okay? Yeah, so like I said, again, be careful who you are listening to. Be careful who has your ear because they do not always mean you well. So let's talk about some other characteristics I noticed in verse 6 about this immoral woman. And I even had to go look at the King James Version to see if there was more description about what this woman was. And so I used King James Version and I used an NLT version to pull out these characteristics of an immoral woman. So here they are. An immoral woman is a woman who is careless, She's not focused on God and how she moves in life, right? Like, pay attention, clock it. She is unstable, wandering. She lives in habitual sins and patterns. And she lacks self-awareness. Okay. Everything that I just described, careless, unfocused, wandering, living in habitual sin, no evidence of a God-led life in her daily actions. I'm going to tell you something. These are the same women who on social media have scripture in their bio, and then you go on their page and she's shaking her tail. She got on tiny little booty shorts, her booty hanging out, all her cleavage showing, like, but she claiming to be a Christian, but she looked just like the world. Baby, bye. An immoral woman. And you need to stay away from her, okay? Why do you have to stay away from her? Let's look at the words that, like, attaching yourself to her, what it leads to. The grave. She's like poison. She's like a double-edged sword. Death. Come on now. Listen, men, if you don't learn nothing else today or in life, I need you to keep Proverbs 5 at the forefront of your mind all the time. Okay? Because she's wicked. All right. That's all I'm going to say on that. Let's keep going because there's more. And it's so good. All right. Picking up at verse 7. So now, my sons, listen to me. Never stray from what I'm about to say. Never stray from what he is about to say. Stay away from her. Don't go near the door of her house. Don't even go near. If you do, you will lose your honor and you will lose to merciless people all you have achieved. Strangers will consume your wealth and someone else will enjoy the fruit of your labor. In the end, you will groan in anguish when disease consumes your body. Let me just say this. I know a number of men who have had genuine, real, vulnerable conversations with me over the years who have said, like, they have been forced out of the game. And I'm like, that's crazy that you, one, are calling it the game, because that is what's happening. When you are playing a game, right, you have a controller. Ooh, something is controlling your actions. It has you glued and locked in. Your eyes are tuned to it. Your ears are tuned to it. Dare I say, it's tuned to the immoral woman. From her Instagram page to how she walks and moves outside to how she is going and showing up in places and things like that. And it's enticing to you. Her lips are sweet as honey, as the text said, smoother than oil. But eventually it leads to your damnation. It says here in the text, it literally says you will lose your wealth. Someone will replace you in regard to the good things and the fruit of your labor in this world, because you so distracted and taken out by the game by these immoral women. Child, I don't know about you, but if I was a man, I'd be like, absolutely not. And the line that takes me out every single time is verse 11. Because this is what most men, when I've had these vulnerable conversations with them, this is what they're alluding to. In the end, you will groan in anguish when disease consumes your body. How many of y'all, don't answer in the chat, don't tell on yourself, that's your business. But you were taken out the game because you contracted an STD. And I use STD instead of STI. STD as in disease, something you cannot get rid of. That's what happens when you lay in the bed and lay down with an immoral woman. I hate to say it. And I think that I've met also men who are like, well, that's why I use protection and that's why I try to make sure I get somebody's test reports and blah, blah, blah. It's like, baby, you need to just stop altogether, okay? Because it's not for your good. Okay, continuing at verse 15, it says, drink water from your own well. Share your love only with your wife. Why spill the water of your springs in the streets, having sex with just anyone? You should reserve it for yourselves. Never share it with strangers. Things that stand out to me in verse 15 through 17 is the questioning. Why spill the water of your springs in the streets, having sex with just anyone? I think it's a really great question, and it's one to examine your own heart, right? In Proverbs, it talks a lot about your heart and how it is the control center of your life. And for me specifically, how I got to a place of like really truly honoring myself and honoring God with my body was the realization that I am special. And I'm not special because I think I'm special. I'm special because I am God's daughter and God has called me. And because I love myself so much, I don't just give myself to anyone that promises me material things or promises me empty words or looks good or whatever might be enticing to me. Like, who cares? There is a way to do a thing and there is a way to not do a thing. And God's way in regard to sex is in the covenant of marriage. And so when I answer that question, like, I don't spill my water springs into the streets because I love myself. Yeah. Another thing that stands out to me is verse 17 where it says never share it with strangers. Like, never sharing your body with a stranger. I think that's so good and important because even when you think to the earlier text where it talks about how verse 11 where in the end you will groan in anguish when disease consumes your body. Like, I strongly and firmly believe that when you are getting to know a person, you know a person so intimately, especially under the covenant of marriage, preferably under the covenant of marriage, this person will not put you in harm's way. But a stranger might, right? A stranger might not divulge to you all what's going on with them. They might not divulge to you their status, if you know what I'm talking about. And they might hide things from you and things like that. And so I do think like never sharing your body with a stranger, like it really stands out to me here. So yeah. And I will say that like if you are someone who struggles with lust, struggles with temptation, and struggles with promiscuity and things like that, I'm gonna tell you that there's something deeper going on. And a lot of it has to do with whether or not you love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, it's because you don't know who God has called you to be. And so I would encourage you to pick up the good book and start reading it and get in community with like-minded people. So you get to a place and space where you're not being promiscuous and you're not being tempted and captivated by immoral women and immoral men. So I'm going to leave you with that. Let's continue. Verse 18 through 20 reads, let your wife be a fountain of blessing for you. Rejoice in the wife of your youth. She is a loving deer, a graceful doe. Let her breast satisfy you always. May you always be captivated by her love. Why be captivated, my son, by an immoral woman, or fondle the breast of a promiscuous woman? I really like verse 18 through 19, and a little bit of it was confusing to me, so I went and looked up the original text in Hebrew. And here's what it's basically saying to anyone that might be confused. It's saying that like God designed a specific person in your life if you're married. Like that's your person. Like that's who he designed for you to be doing covenant and life with. And it is saying like let your wife be a fountain of blessing for you. Like that fountain of blessing is like the fountain of blessing of intimacy and the fountain of blessing for your offspring and things like that, right? Because what happens when you go outside of your marriage is you start to taint that fountain and it no longer wants to bless you. So you could be causing a prevention of more offspring being produced in your bloodline because you stepped outside of your marriage, or you get caught in somebody's DMs doing things you know you shouldn't be doing and things like that. You just don't want to cut off your fountain of blessing, right? That's what the text is saying. And I love the description of the wife also in comparison to the description of the immoral woman. So let's compare them. Remember, the immoral woman is careless. The wife is loving. The immoral woman is unstable and wandering, living in habitual sin. The wife is as graceful as a doe, okay? The immoral woman is stuck in habitual sin and she lacks self-awareness. The wife's breasts satisfy you always. And there's a blessing here, but also a command in the text. In verse 19, at the end of it, when it says, may you always be captivated by her love. That's a command. That's not like a suggestion. Like, you need to pray and meditate on that. Because if you are being captivated and tempted by the immoral woman on your social media feed or TikTok feed or whatever, then I'm going to dare to say that it is because you have left the door open and you're not tending to the blessing that God gave you, which is your wife. And if you're not married, it's yourself. So block it, like the text says. Stay away from her. Do not go near the door of her house. Block it. As soon as the woman comes across your timeline and she half naked, block, delete. And the only reason you still are attached to her, friends with her, and you haven't blocked her and things like that is because you leaving that door open. You want that sin in your life. You want this woman to captivate you and to distract you. Why? Because you don't have to. You could switch it up real quick, but you're choosing to have your eyes and your ears tuned to this promiscuity of the immoral woman. It's a choice. Now, let's finish, because verse 21 to 23 talks about the consequences of these choices and what happens when you have a lack of accountability as a man. Okay? So verse 21 reads, for the Lord sees clearly what a man does. You can't trick God, baby. Okay? Let me continue. Let me start over. For the Lord sees clearly what a man does, examining every path he takes. An evil man is held captive by his own sins. They are ropes that catch and hold him. He will die for lack of self-control. He will be lost because of his great foolishness. Those are the consequences. Lost, death, captive, roped, and chained because you want to be foolish. And that's the end of chapter 5. And yeah, I think the key message here is like clean up and shape up. That's it. Delete, remove, avoid, because it is certainly going to lead to death. It is certainly going to lead you away from your covenant marriage, the marriage that God has designed. It could be an end to your bloodline, all types of consequences. So I urge you, please stay away from the immoral woman. Check yourself, check your actions. And this was a good study. If you found it helpful and you want to share it and send it to somebody, go ahead and do that. I hope to see you back here next week reading with me Proverbs chapter 6. Bye-bye.